Here's your wrestling news for August 8th, 2022, and we're kicking off today with Vince McMahon, who retired from WWE last month, leaving all roles including being head of WWE Creative. With McMahon gone, we're learning more about what the creative process was like with him in charge, and it doesn't sound fun at all. Fightful has heard from many in WWE's creative that the writers' assistants needed to filter Vince themselves in ways, and more specifically, these assistants had to know what to write and what not to write when taking notes for McMahon. It's also said that the minutes of meetings were heavily edited, and that filtering things to prevent Vince from making a bad decision went on for a very long time. Some of the stories included McMahon constantly calling people the wrong names or using terms that weren't socially acceptable and that even he himself would have never allowed on television. A former production employee explained just how difficult it was to work under McMahon, saying, "If a live feed of Vince McMahon on a headset any given night ever made it out, then it would provide a picture of that production experience, especially for the announcers. There were plenty of times he was in a good mood, but he would blow up at the most ridiculous things and act like they ruined an angle that was far past its expiration date anyway." When asked what they expected to change in the new Triple H era of creative, one person said that they expect recall of what we have and haven't done repeatedly. "There were so many things that Vince insisted on doing that I'm pretty sure he didn't remember doing over and over again, even when people would tell him." There is a newfound sense of optimism in WWE right now, as many expect big changes in the new era of the company, but for the creative team, they'll just be happy with someone who can remember what they've said in an earlier meeting. In April 2020, Rusev was released from WWE and would debut in AEW as Miro that September. In the All Elite company, Miro is a former TNT champion, but it appears that he could be re-evaluating his place within the promotion. On Twitter, a fan suggested that the Bulgarian wrestler had it better in WWE, which was liked by none other than Miro himself. Miro hasn't publicly commented on his situation or if he plans to leave AEW when his contract is up, but this like has certainly created a lot of discussion. Given how Cody Rhodes has been treated since returning to WWE, it's not hard to see why some could be considering jumping from the AEW ship, especially now that Vince McMahon has retired from his various roles. Ultimately, Miro will do what he believes is in his best interest, and that may indeed be a return to WWE as Rusev when the time is right. But what do you believe is best for Miro? Should he take the chance and hope for a Cody Rhodes return, or play it safe and stick with Tony Khan in AEW? Either way, the Bulgarian will have some big decisions to make the next time his contract is up for renewal. Miro is seemingly unhappy with his position in AEW right now, and that's not just coming across in this tweet. On a recent AEW Rampage, AEW Interim World Champion Jon Moxley faced off against Mance Warner, who many fans probably didn't know before this bout. Miro certainly didn't know Warner, as in a tweet, he questioned who was stepping in the ring with the AEW Interim World Champion. This wasn't a title match, but it was a championship contender match, but since Moxley beat Warner, there won't be a rematch for the title between the two. Nevertheless, Miro doesn't appreciate that Warner got a shot at the champion ahead of him, in yet another wrinkle in the story of him not being thrilled with AEW's treatment at this time. Now, it was just a couple of years ago that Retribution debuted in WWE, and despite an imposing build, the group failed to deliver. Hokey-looking masks and even worse names quickly resulted in the group's momentum being killed, with the members of the group going off to do different things. Now, Mustafa Ali is a babyface on Raw, and Mace is with the Maximum Male Models on SmackDown, and now T-Bar could be next in line for a major change. PW Insider reports that T-Bar may be on the receiving end of the next repackaging as part of the Triple H era of WWE Creative. It said that T-Bar has been well received by fans on his matches on WWE Main Event, including at last month's tapings from Madison Square Garden. While T-Bar never held any championship during his NXT days as Dominik Dijakovic, he was involved in some of the bigger feuds and matches at the time, and could soon be on the receiving end of a new focus and a new character. In July 2021, WWE released Bray Wyatt in a decision that shocked the wrestling world. Wyatt and his Fiend character had been immensely popular in WWE prior to his departure, and the former Universal Champion hasn't wrestled anywhere since being cut. Now Bray has posted a very interesting message online where he says that wrestling isn't a love story, but instead a fairy tale for masochists. Wyatt also noted that while wrestling is a business where budgets are cut, referencing WWE's reasons for years of mass releases, it's also an industry where dead men walk, a nod to The Undertaker. He also said that wrestling is where rock bottom is rejoiced, a nod to The Rock, but didn't just stay with WWE, saying that wrestling is where honor makes you elite, referring to ROH and AEW, both owned by Tony Khan. These were just some of the wrestling references Bray made in his creatively crafted post, which goes to show that even after a year, he's certainly not finished with the industry. With Vince McMahon gone, some are hopeful that Wyatt will be the next to be called up to return to WWE, but do you think he'd be better under Triple H's creative, or trying his luck in AEW? Let us know in the comments. When Ric Flair competed last month, it was promised that he and Andrade's win over Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett would be the final match for the Nature Boy. In the 8 days since then, Flair has remained true to his word, not wrestling officially, but isn't afraid to get physical when needed. At the World Wrestling Council's anniversary show last Saturday, Flair made the trip to Puerto Rico to watch his son-in-law Andrade take on Carlito. During the match, Flair tried to interfere, and a poke to the eye of Eddie Colon neutralized the former Primo, and the Nature Boy also got physical with Carlos Colon. Carlos blocked an attempted punch by Flair and leveled into the 16-time world champion with some shots of his own, and this distraction gave Carlito the chance to hit the backstabber and get the win. Flair may be retired, but that doesn't mean he's not still the dirtiest player in the game, but on this occasion, the Colones were just one step ahead of him in Puerto Rico. Back to WWE, and in 2000, that summer saw Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Kurt Angle engage in a love triangle as the Olympian tried to woo over the Game's wife. In one infamous segment from the August 24th SmackDown, Angle kissed Stephanie, who had been laid out earlier in the night, and while McMahon initially tries to fight him off, she is eventually won over. Speaking on his podcast, Angle recalled making out with the now co-CEO of WWE and how he didn't appreciate who was there for filming. It was weird, it was very uncomfortable. Vince, not only was he directing, he was literally 2 feet away from us. The camera was right there. Stephanie and I are here, and Vince is right behind the camera looking at us. I'm not saying he felt like he looked like he was aroused, but he had this look like, I want to see this. So I kissed Stephanie, and I do it like this because I'm nervous as hell. I look like a duck, fish lips. Stephanie afterwards said, "You kiss like a fish." I said, "What the hell do you want me to do? You want me to slip you the tongue while your dad's watching? Plus, you're married to Triple H." Eventually, the love triangle was dropped, reportedly because Triple H kicked off backstage, arguing that it wasn't believable that Stephanie would pick someone like Kurt over him. After the storyline, Kurt would enter the WWF title picture, winning the gold in his rookie year with the company, but the Olympian certainly had a unique journey to the top of the World Wrestling Federation. We've got some XFL news as the league is set to kick off in early 2023 and is now owned by The Rock, and this week signed an interesting name. On Twitter, it was confirmed that Sean Hayes will be working in the XFL going forward after years as working as a WWE strength and conditioning coach. Hayes clearly had an impact with the company, as Zion Quinn called him the OG of NXT in a tweet when wishing him luck on the next chapter of his life. Prior to working with WWE NXT, Hayes was a coach for the Houston Texans, and with him now returning to the world of football, it'll be interesting to see who fills his role in NXT. Since AEW launched in 2019, Tony Khan has run AEW and has earned a lot of love from wrestling fans for his alternative to WWE. AEW is known for its mostly coherent storytelling over the years and things being planned in advance, but the company isn't immune from last-minute changes. Speaking with the two-man Power Trip of Wrestling podcast, former AEW star Jack Evans recalled working with Khan, the king of last-minute changes, as he calls it. "I really liked it, it was a great experience, Tony was a great boss. The only complaint I could ever make about Tony for sure is, he is like the king of last-minute mind changes. That would be my one complaint about him as a boss, but other than that, he was always actually very fair." Evans didn't go into what kind of last-minute changes unfolded behind the scenes, but after years of criticizing Vince McMahon for his last-minute changes, it seems Khan has more in common with the former WWE CEO than he'd care to admit. And we're ending today with Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 2022, where Jonathan Gresham lost the ROH World title to Claudio Castagnoli, but the bigger story is what happened behind the scenes. Not happy with the booking, Gresham tried to contact Tony Khan several times before the show, only to be met with silence, and only got a brief window to speak just hours before the match. We now have an update on the situation, as Fightful Select has learned that when Gresham asked for his release, he did so on the Sunday, and that both parties have said the situation got heated. The report also states that many within the company praised Gresham for his professionalism as he decided to continue with the match despite the tensions backstage. As for the match, it said that AEW was very much content with the execution of the match between Gresham and Castagnoli. It's still unclear if Tony Khan has granted Gresham a release, but we'll keep following this story as more details are made available. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.